Think for a moment. Have you noticed how the smarter someone becomes, the more often they step back from the crowd? How the sharpest minds feel most themselves not in loud rooms, but in quiet spaces where no one is asking for anything from them? What if what many people call social life is for some a hidden burden with a friendly face? And what if solitude is not loneliness at all, but freedom? Today we are going to explore a hard truth about human nature. It is a truth voiced by the German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, a thinker who did not dress reality in warm colors, but looked at it straight on. This message is not for everyone. It is for people who feel a strange unease when they have to be always on, for people who often feel like outsiders even among friends, for the ones who find more meaning in a silent room than in a noisy bar. If that sounds like you, stay with me until the end, because the final insight may change the way you understand your own need for quiet. Before we begin, take a breath and check in with yourself. If you value depth more than surface, truth more than comfort, and self-knowledge more than approval, you are in the right place. When you are ready, let us begin with the first blunt observation that runs through Schopenhauer's work. Much of what people call socializing is distraction at best and erosion of the self at worst. Most days are full of noise. Not just the noise of traffic or chatter, but the constant mental buzz of gossip, comparison, rushed messages, and small obligations that nibble at our attention. The thinker, the person who pauses to watch and reflect, notices how this noise does not feed the inner life. It drains it. Imagine you are an artist trying to paint a careful picture. You hold a clear image in your mind. Every few minutes, someone opens the door. Come to this thing. Answer this message. Did you hear what that person said? You try to be polite. You promise you will come back to the canvas in a moment. But the color on the brush dries. The edges of the image blur. After enough interruptions, the masterpiece is gone. All that remains is a tired version of what you once saw. Schopenhauer was not guessing. He was watching the same pattern across history. Many great writers, scientists, and artists pulled away from the rush of daily life. Isaac Newton worked in long, solitary stretches. Franz Kafka wrote in the shadows of quiet nights. Emily Dickinson turned her room into a sanctuary. Schopenhauer himself took long walks alone, returned to his books, and wrote in stillness. Again and again, we see the same pattern. Solitude is the soil in which deep work grows. Why does this keep happening? Because being alone lets the mask fall. In groups, we shift to fit the room. We adjust our voice, direct our gaze, and pick our words to match what others expect. Most of the time, it is not a choice. It just happens. In that shifting, we become fragments of ourselves. When you are alone, there is no need to perform, no role to play. You can be whole. For a person whose inner world is rich, that is not a loss. It is a homecoming. Schopenhauer once wrote that the less a mind understands, the less mysterious life seems. A shallow mind takes the world at face value and finds simple entertainment enough. A serious mind feels the contradictions, the beauty, the pain, and the strange humor that run through existence. Those are not topics for small talk. Try to speak about them in a room full of surface talk, and you will feel the frustration of trying to plant a tree in a parking lot. After enough attempts, many thinkers retreat. It is not hatred of people, it is simple exhaustion. Does this mean connection does not matter? Number. It means the quality of connection matters more than the number of contacts. Many people do not seek truth or meaning in others. They seek validation, escape, or a quick hit of attention. That kind of exchange is hollow. Schopenhauer saw solitude not as a lack, but as enrichment. He liked the image of an eagle in flight. It travels alone not because it hates the sky, but because it moves at a height and a speed that common birds do not. Perhaps you have felt this. You stand in a circle of people and feel more alone than when you are by yourself. The talk never reaches the place where your mind has been living. Later, when you sit with a book or walk under trees, or follow a train of thought without being pulled away, you feel connected again, not to applause or attention, but to something wide and steady. This is the paradox. The deeper the thought, the more often the sense of connection arrives in solitude, not in society. This does not mean relationships do not matter. It means the right relationships matter. For a person who values truth, good relationships grow from honesty, mutual growth, and shared exploration. Convenience is not enough. Entertainment is not enough. Those bonds are rare. Until you find them, solitude will feel kinder than most rooms. Ask yourself this and answer without judgment. When was the last time a conversation made your soul feel seen? When did you last leave a gathering feeling whole, not scattered? Schopenhauer's plain honesty stings because it matches what many of us sense but hesitate to say. Much of social life is performance. It is pleasant and often kind, but still a performance. For people who crave depth, there comes a time to pull back, not to run from the world, but to see it more clearly and to see oneself without costume. That return to the self is not selfish. It is sacred. If you have felt guilty for needing time alone, for saying no to plans, or for leaving your phone in another room, consider that guilt as a habit you can set down. It may be your mind protecting what it values most. In this view, solitude is not a retreat from life. It is preparation to live on your own terms. To understand why Schopenhauer grew so strict about this, we need to look at his view of human nature. He believed that underneath culture and language and all our fine stories, there is a deep and blind force he called the will to live. It pushes us to survive, to seek pleasure, to reproduce, to compete, and to control. This force shapes not only our bodies, but our habits, our bonds, and our systems. When you see social life through that lens, the glow fades a little. The room is not always a place of harmony. It can become a field where egos test strength and trade favors, where status games look like friendships, where distraction wears the mask of care. For the average person, these games are a way to get by. You make allies, show your worth, find a partner, and learn to steer the current. For a thinker who is trying to look through the surface to the heart of things, the same current can feel like a tide pulling them away from shore. So as awareness grows, many people discover a quiet disinterest in the game. It is not pride, it is sensitivity. They are not detached because they feel too little. They step aside because they feel too much. It is like standing in a crowd where everyone speaks a dialect that is almost your own, but not quite. The words are familiar. The rhythm is wrong. You nod. You add a sentence. You smile. Inside, you feel like an extra in a play whose script you have not seen. With more self-knowledge, tolerance for pretending drops. Clever people learn to blend in. Wise people choose when not to. They disengage not to rebel, but to preserve their inner clarity. Schopenhauer put it simply, the more a person has in themselves, the less they need from others. When your inner world is full of ideas, questions, and creative fire, the trivial becomes hard to bear. You do not seek company to fill a hole. You seek solitude to protect a flame. This is one reason many thoughtful people are drawn to philosophy, music, art, and long walks in nature. These are not hobbies in the shallow sense. They are lifelines. They give the soul a way to breathe and speak without interruption. They steady the hands that hold the work only you can do. From the outside, this can look like coldness. Friends may ask why you do not come out more. Family may worry. Strangers may label you antisocial. Often the truth is the opposite. Many solitary people are more attuned to life, more present, and more alive in their quiet than most are in their bustle. Schopenhauer's own life looked like this. Books, silence, walks, and pages filled with careful thought. His reputation as a pessimist did not grow from bitterness. It grew from clear sight. To see deeply is to grieve deeply. Illusions fall away. Noise becomes harder to bear. You begin to crave honesty and stillness, not because you are broken, but because you're awake. Pause here and ask yourself a kind question. How much of your time is spent with people who see you beyond your role, beyond your job title or your clever stories? How often can you speak the truth in your own words without trimming it to fit the room? If your answer is not often, consider that your desire for solitude may be healthy. It may be a sign that your inner life is aligning with your actions. This is why Schopenhauer called solitude the space of the exceptional. He did not mean exceptional in the sense of applause or public honor. He meant inner independence. People who are emotionally steady, spiritually curious, and mentally awake can sit alone without feeling empty. They do not need constant connection to feel real because they are already rooted. It is important to draw a clear line here. Solitude is not the same as isolation. Isolation is a shut door that stays shut. Solitude is a door you can open and close on purpose. Schopenhauer was not urging contempt for humanity. He was inviting a step back from noise so that clarity can return. Only from that quiet vantage can you see the world as it is. Here is the irony. The smarter and more self-aware you become, the lonelier the road can feel for a while. Fewer people fit. Fewer rooms feel right. At the same time, the peace that does arrive runs deeper. Less connection in number, more connection in meaning. Fewer people, greater ease. Schopenhauer did not see solitude as emptiness. He saw it as space. Space for the mind to think, the heart to listen, and the spirit to stretch. In this view, leaving shallow social routines is not failure. It is the beginning of wisdom. Ask yourself again, what have you learned in your quietest hours? Who are you when no one is watching? Would you trade that depth for a busier calendar? Many people would. Maybe you would not. Maybe that is why you are still here. Not for noise, for truth. Schopenhauer did more than explain why intelligent people step away. He also described what they find when they do. Solitude is not passive. It is an active clearing away of illusions. One of the strongest illusions is the belief that other people can complete us, that happiness lives in their approval, or praise, or constant company. That belief breeds cycles of hope and letdown, longing and doubt. The wiser path turns inward. It grows what cannot be borrowed. Think of how new truths become accepted. First they are mocked, then they are fought, then they look obvious. Solitude follows the same arc in a life. At first people laugh at it, then they fear it. In time, if they taste its sweetness, they understand why it is necessary. It becomes the quiet backbone of a meaningful life. For many, the journey starts early. A quiet child watches more than they talk. They are sensitive, curious, often happiest alone with a book or an idea. School can feel dull. Popular games can feel hollow. The pressure to fit in rises, so they practice. They learn to pass. Many keep passing for years, some stop. That is the turning point. They stop going to events out of obligation. They stop pretending interest in what bores them. They say no to what drains them. They step back not into despair, but into themselves. In that retreat, a rare meeting takes place. You meet yourself. There is no audience, no need to perform, only silence. And in that silence, you begin to see clearly. You see your fears. You see your gifts. You see what you want to build and what you need to release. It is not easy. This is one reason many people run from it. For the person who longs for truth, this is the start of inner mastery. Friedrich Nietzsche, another German thinker, understood this. He wrote that the higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. For him, solitude was not a punishment. It was a responsibility. It was the cost of telling the truth to yourself and then to the world. Solitude also sharpens how you see the world. When you step back from the current, you notice patterns you missed while swimming in it. You see how often conversation is used to hide silence. You see how people crave approval, how trends guide taste, how fear dresses up as certainty. These insights do not arrive in crowded rooms. They come in stillness. Schopenhauer warned against trading health for other forms of happiness. He meant more than the body. He meant the quiet mind and steady heart that grow in solitude. Every time you force yourself into a ritual that does not fit, You spend more than an evening. You spend life force. Choose that often enough, and you forget what it feels like to be present. There is a cost to waking up like this. Once you taste the clean air of solitude, you cannot unknow it. You notice how people lie to themselves to belong. You hear how much of daily speech is filler to cover the fear of quiet. You see how many bonds are built on mutual distraction. That seeing can be painful. It is also freeing. You no longer chase what never satisfied you. You become whole enough to choose with care. This is the real reward of solitude. Not only peace, but power. Not power over others, but power over your attention, your time, and your choices. Ask yourself now, when do you feel most alive? When you are performing for the room, or when you are absorbed in thought, or in a book, or in the woods, and your mind is clear, when your attention is split among voices, or when it is gathered in one quiet stream. Some people are not built for constant interaction. They are built for insight. They are not here to entertain or to be entertained. They are here to observe, to understand, to create. Many never receive permission to live that way, so they try to fix their need for quiet. They call it a flaw. What if it is a calling? Schopenhauer believed that only in solitude do we become who we are. The crowd can only confirm a mask. Wisdom does not come from constant motion. It grows from the courage to sit with yourself, to face doubt, to hold a question long enough for the answer to ripen. If solitude calls to you more than any room does, you are not broken. You are becoming. Here is the insight that ties this together. The highest form of self-realization happens in solitude, not in applause, not even in love, not in conversation, in the unadorned presence of your own mind. No mask, no stage, only you. That is where the real work begins. This is uncomfortable. Being alone means seeing what you have avoided. It means hearing thoughts you have drowned out with music and chatter. It means feeling what you numbed with constant plans. But if you are brave enough to remain, solitude becomes a doorway to clarity. For Schopenhauer, solitude was not just a refuge. It was a quiet form of rebellion, to live without constant validation, to create for the sake of truth, to think clearly in a culture that rewards noise. That is a radical act. When you return from that act, you are different. You do not speak to fill air. You speak with purpose. You do not connect from fear. You connect from fullness. You are no longer a passenger in your own life. You are the author. This is the path of the intelligent soul. Yes, it can feel lonely. It is the holy loneliness of the climber on a high path. The poet at a bare desk. The sage in a simple room. It is the quiet chosen by those who refuse to live a half-life. If silence feels more like home than any crowd, you are not alone. You belong to a line of thinkers and makers who chose truth over noise. Schopenhauer stands there. Nietzsche stands there. Carl Jung stands there. Emily Dickinson stands there. Countless others stand there too, steady in their quiet. Walk your path with your head up. When the world asks why you rarely show up for every gathering, smile and answer with calm certainty. Because I have found what you are still searching for. If this message rings true, share your story where others can see it. Someone who feels crazy or broken may hear your words and realize they are waking up. Remind them that needing quiet is not a failure. It is a strength. Remind them that stepping back is not running away. It is stepping into a life that fits. Before we part, let us name a few simple practices that protect the gift of solitude. Keep your phone in another room for a while each day and let your attention settle. Take slow walks without speaking. Read a few pages with full focus. Write a short note to yourself about what matters and what does not. These small acts are not glamorous. They are powerful. They anchor you in a world designed to pull you off center. When you do return to social life, return on purpose. Choose one or two people who meet you in depth. Speak with them in your true voice. Ask real questions. Listen without rushing to answer. Let the bond grow from honesty, not obligation. If a room asks you to wear a mask, Decide whether the task is worth the cost. Wear it if you must. Take it off as soon as you can. Over time, you may notice a change. The more you honor solitude, the more your presence changes when you are with others. You no longer seek to be seen every minute. You are at ease being quiet. When you do speak, your words carry weight because they come from a settled place. You connect not to fill a void, but to share what is full in you. People feel the difference. Some will not understand it. Some will be drawn to it. Either way, you will be living on your own terms. There is one more gentle truth. Solitude does not close your heart. It opens it. When you step away from the noise, you can feel the world more directly. The rustle of trees, the ache in a friend's voice, the humor in a small moment, the gratitude that shows up for no reason. Without the crowd, life grows vivid, meaning returns. So let us end where we began, with a simple question. Who are you when the room is empty and the phone is face down? Do you feel brittle and frantic, or do you feel a steady kind of relief? If relief is what you feel, trust it. It is a compass. Follow it to the work you are meant to do, to the people who meet you in truth, to the life that fits your soul. If this message found you, share it with someone who is quietly carrying the same truth. Tell them they are not broken, not antisocial, not behind, not cold. They are awakening. They are tuning their life to a deeper key. In time, they will discover that solitude is not a burden, it is a gift. In that gift, everything essential begins. In that gift, the mind clears, the heart steadies, and the spirit lifts. You do not owe your life to every room. You do not owe every minute of your attention to the crowd. You owe your life to the truth that calls you. You owe your attention to what grows you. Choose that again and again. Choose it gently without drama. Choose it with kindness for yourself and kindness for others. Let your solitude make you softer, not harder. Let it make you clearer, not colder. Let it make you braver, not bitter. And when you step back into the world, do it as someone who knows the difference between noise and music. Keep your quiet center. Share your voice when it matters. Offer your presence like a steady flame in a windy place. Then step back into the calm that is always waiting for you. That calm is not a luxury. It is the ground on which a real life stands. If this spoke to you, say so. Not for attention, but to help someone else feel less alone. We are building a small corner where thoughtfulness is normal and depth is welcome. Leave a line about when you felt most yourself in silence. Leave a note about a book or a walk that steadied you. These are the threads that weave a better culture, one honest voice at a time. Remember this as you go. Your solitude is not your weakness, it is your strength. It is not what keeps you from life. It is what lets you live it with a clear mind, a steady heart, and a free spirit. In that sacred quiet, the best parts of you have room to grow. In that quiet, everything true begins.